then the July consumer price inflation data will be announced later this evening. The June reading had come in higher than expected at 5.08%, and the RBI policy too was slightly on the hawkish side. So what is in store for the month of July? Latha Venkatesh is here with the details of the CNBC TV18 poll.
Very important striking number for July, the headline CPI, is going to come in sub 4%. Now, 4% is important because that's the mandate given to the MPC that we should keep inflation below 4%. The number is going to come at 3.65 after quite a few months. Let me just finish the entire poll. The core CPI will come in at 3.35, our poll says, and food CPI is seen coming at 5.5%, much lower than the previous month's 9.36 and the year ago number of 11.51%. I'm referring to food in some detail because that's going to be most watched. Also because vegetable inflation was very high in the month of June at 29%. We all know about the 100 rupees plus per kilo. The tomatoes sold, potatoes were also high. So both these numbers, the vegetable prices will be watched very closely. Pulses were also high in the month of June, 16% higher. They have been high for a goodish bit now. So those are the numbers that will be very closely watched. See, the sub 4% CPI number at 3.64 is going to come in July largely because of the high base. Last year, July was almost 7.5%, and therefore in comparison 3.64, which is why the Reserve Bank will not be impressed by this number. In fact, in the policy, the Reserve Bank upped its forecast for July, August, September quarter from the earlier 3.8 to 4.4. I mean, that's a goodish bit of forecast jump of 60 basis points. That's because they are discounting the high vegetable prices. Core CPI also, if you notice, our poll says 3.35%. That's a sharp increase from the 3.1% in June. And that's because probably telecom tariffs, which have been recently hiked, will start getting included. That is also important because RBI looks at the core CPI very closely. But vegetables and tomatoes will be the most important one. Now, the higher than polled figure should not be discounted. We may not get 3.65, which is our poll. We possibly will get a higher number because the Reserve Bank's higher forecast is indicating that they are prepared for a sharp increase in not only July, but perhaps even August. IIP will not be a very important number because policy is not made on the basis of IIP. It's only CPI which is important for policy. The number we've got is 5.1, which will be lower than 5.9, but that's not bad because June is always lower than May. June rains start, so sugar, cement, construction, all of them go into hibernation, and therefore we mustn't be too perturbed by the 5.1% number for IIP. We expect power and steel to do well.
All right, Latha, thanks so much for giving us a preview on what we are expecting, especially from the CPI inflation data, and that's going to be announced later this evening.